What would you do if, in a single night, most of humanity simply died? Imagine empty streets, abandoned cars, and radios crackling with static, the last words of a dying world. Would you cling to hope or follow the darkness that rises from the ashes? Tonight, we open Stephen King's A Stand, his epic of apocalypse and redemption. It begins with a single accident, a soldier escaping a secret military base, unknowingly carrying a virus designed as a biological weapon. Within weeks, 99% of the world's population is gone. The few who survive are left to rebuild, but also to choose sides in a battle far older than the virus. The story begins quietly, just a security guard fleeing into the night with his family. But what he carries is death. Captain Trips, they call it, a superflu that spreads faster than anyone can contain. Picture the world as it collapses. Hospital hallways lined with coughing patients. Television anchors choking on air as they report the news. Cities emptying into silence. King doesn't rush this. He makes you feel every step as society crumbles. And then the stillness. No cars, no airplanes, no voices but your own. From this quiet, survivors begin to emerge, each drawn by strange dreams. Some dream of Mother Abagail, a 108-year-old woman sitting on her porch in Nebraska, calling them to gather. Others dream of Randall Flagg, the dark man, smiling with cold blue eyes, calling them west of Las Vegas. This is where the stand becomes something more than just a plague story. It becomes a spiritual battlefield. Mother Abagail represents hope, compassion, and the will to build something new. Her followers form a free zone in Boulder, Colorado, a fragile attempt to restart democracy and civilization. But in Las Vegas, Randall Flagg builds something else, a brutal kingdom of fear and control, where public executions keep order and his followers prepare for war. Flagg is more than a man. He's the embodiment of chaos, a walking devil in denim. He promises his people power, vengeance, and survival, but at a price. Each character must choose, not just where to go, but who to become. Stu Redman, the quiet Texan who first discovered the virus outbreak, becomes a reluctant leader. Larry Underwood, a musician used to running from responsibility, finds himself forced to grow up and take a stand. Nick Andros, a deaf-mute wanderer, learns to lead despite never speaking a word. And then there is Harold Lauder, a bitter young man who dreams of glory but falls under Flagg's spell. Harold is proof that evil doesn't always come with fangs. Sometimes it looks like resentment left to rot too long. Eventually, the two sides collide, not in a giant battlefield, but in a test of faith. For Boulder's strongest men, Stu, Larry, Glenn, and Ralph, walk west into the desert on a mission they barely understand. One by one, they fall until only Larry and Ralph stand before Flagg in Las Vegas. And then, just when all hope seems lost, the hand of God intervenes. A nuclear explosion destroys Flagg's stronghold, and in the reign of terror, the world is given another chance. But survival is not simple. Even after Flagg is gone, humanity must decide what kind of future we'll build. Will they repeat the same mistakes that led to disaster, or start anew? King ends the story with a question, not an answer, because the real stand is not against a virus or even against evil. It's the stand each person takes when they decide who they will be when the world is watching. Close your eyes and imagine walking through an empty city, hearing only the echo of your own footsteps. Would you search for others? Would you try to rebuild? Or would you be tempted by the dark man's promise of power? That's the haunting brilliance of Stand. It reminds us that the end of the world doesn't just strip away civilization. It strips away excuses, and what's left is your choice. In the Stand, the apocalypse isn't just an ending. It's a test of courage, a test of faith, and above all, a test of who we really are when there's nothing left to hide behind. If this story of survival and destiny sent chills down your spine, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves dark, sprawling tales of good versus evil. And tell me in the comments, if you had to choose between Boulder and Las Vegas, where would you go? Subscribe for more deep dives into Stephen King's most haunting worlds. And remember, sometimes the real horror isn't in the world. It's what we do once we survive it.